I need to tell you something that might sound strange, but trust me when I say this. The universe is always trying to communicate with you. It's speaking to you right now in ways you probably don't even notice. You might be wondering, what do you mean? The universe doesn't talk like a person. And you're right, its message isn't always obvious. But every day, you experience signs, feelings, and experiences that are trying to tell you something important. They might seem random or out of place, but they're actually meaningful messages guiding you toward something better. The truth is, most people don't know how to listen to these messages. You might even be one of them. You've probably had moments where you felt like something important was happening, but you didn't quite understand it. Or maybe you've had the same thing keep happening over and over, but you couldn't figure out what it meant. You might have felt lost or confused, asking, why is this happening to me? What am I supposed to do with this? Let's make one thing clear right away. These messages aren't random. They're not coincidences. The universe is trying to guide you toward a better path. It's giving you hints, signs, and nudges to get your attention. These signs come in many forms: a gut feeling, a repeating pattern, or an event that seems out of place, but when you think about it, feels strangely important. The universe isn't about to give you a direct, obvious answer in the way you expect. Instead, it's working through symbols, thoughts, and emotions to point you toward what's next in your life. This might sound like some abstract concept, but it's real. If you know how to recognize it, the universe is constantly giving you information that can help you understand what to do, where to go, and how to change your life. I'm about to share the secret with you, so stay with me. In just a few minutes, you'll be able to understand what the universe has been trying to tell you all along and how you can begin to see it for yourself. Now, you might be wondering, if the universe is really trying to tell me something, why don't I hear it? Why do I feel so lost and confused sometimes? Well, that's the first problem. Most of us are so caught up in our own lives and our own busy thoughts that we miss the signs. It's not that they're not there, it's that we aren't paying attention. Life becomes so noisy with the distractions of work, family, social media, and everything else that we forget to stop and listen. If you keep ignoring the signs or brushing them off as coincidences, you'll continue feeling stuck. You might keep repeating the same mistakes, dealing with the same problems, or feeling like things aren't changing no matter how hard you try. The universe doesn't just give you a sign once. It keeps sending the message in different ways. It'll find subtle ways to nudge you, hoping that you'll notice. But if you don't, the signs will keep getting stronger, and sometimes they can feel overwhelming or even painful. Have you ever had something bad happen only for it to seem like it's part of a bigger pattern in your life? Maybe you've noticed the same kind of challenges popping up over and over, and you feel like you're stuck in a loop. That's the universe trying to get your attention, trying to tell you that something needs to change. But if you ignore it long enough, the consequences get bigger. What could have been a small issue might turn into something major. Here's the good news. You don't have to wait for things to spiral out of control. You can start listening to the signs now. When you finally start paying attention to the messages the universe is sending you, everything can shift. You can change the course of your life without waiting for things to get worse. The universe has a way of guiding you gently if you let it, but you have to be open to it. If you understand the messages, you can start making better decisions and avoid the pitfalls that might otherwise come your way. You won't have to keep struggling or feeling lost because you'll have the guidance you need to move forward with confidence. Before we dive deeper into how the universe speaks to you, I want you to take a moment and think about your life. Is there something that keeps repeating? It could be a feeling, a situation, or even a person who keeps showing up. Maybe it's a feeling of being stuck or frustrated. Perhaps you feel like you keep hitting the same wall no matter what you do. Or maybe you notice a certain pattern in your relationships, your work, or your health. Whatever it is, Take a few seconds right now to reflect on what's been happening. Is there something that keeps popping up? It could be a thought, an emotion, or even something in your external world. Pay attention to how it feels. Does it feel like something's not quite right, or is it something that feels familiar, like it's been happening for a while but you haven't figured out why? These repeating patterns are often the universe trying to get your attention. The signs might come in the form of a thought that keeps popping into your mind. Maybe you've had a specific desire for a long time, but it feels like it's never coming true. Or maybe you've been facing the same challenges in your relationships or career, and you don't know how to break free. These repeating situations aren't random. They're trying to tell you something important about yourself and your life. Take this moment seriously. The universe is trying to speak to you. The patterns you're noticing are not coincidences. They're signals. It's like your internal GPS system trying to point you in the right direction, but you have to stop, listen, and take notice. The more you start to recognize these repeating situations and emotions, the more you'll begin to understand the message behind them. The universe isn't just sending these signs for no reason. It wants you to learn and grow from them, and it's here to help guide you through it if you're ready to listen. So take that feeling of repetition and hold on to it. That's your first clue. You're already on the path to understanding the universe's messages. Now that you've identified a pattern or feeling that keeps showing up in your life, we can move forward to explore how you can start interpreting it and what action you can take next. Trust me, once you start listening to these signs, your life will begin to change in ways you never expected. Think back to those moments that felt too perfect to be random. A thought shows up in your mind out of nowhere, and then the same idea appears again later in the day. Maybe in something you hear, something you read, or something someone says. Or you get a strong feeling about something, even when you don't have clear proof. And later, you realize that feeling was right. These moments can feel small, but they leave a mark because they feel different from normal life. They feel like a quiet tap on the shoulder. Sometimes the signs are not dramatic. They are simple, but they repeat. You might keep noticing the same type of message, like reminders about rest, change, or letting go. You might keep meeting the same kind of people, facing the same kind of problem, or feeling the same emotion in different situations. It can feel like life is looping, like the universe is pressing the same button again and again, hoping you finally notice. This is one of the most common ways the universe speaks, through patterns. Not because it wants to scare you, but because repetition is how the mind learns. And then there are those timing moments that feel almost unreal. You're thinking about someone and they message you. You're worried about something and a solution appears in a way you didn't plan. You're about to make a choice and suddenly something happens that makes the choice feel clearer, like a door closes or another one opens. People often call these things luck or chance, but the truth is, many of these moments happen when your attention is already focused, when your emotions are strong, when you're at a turning point, when you're ready to change. The universe often uses that moment to guide you. There are also signs that come through your body. A heavy feeling in the chest when something is not right. A calm, open feeling when something is right. A tiredness that doesn't make sense, like your body is asking for a reset. A sudden burst of energy when you think about a new path. These are not random feelings. They can be messages. Your body is part of the system that helps you notice truth. It often reacts before the mind can explain why. And sometimes the universe speaks through what you can't ignore. A plan falls apart at the last second. A delay keeps happening. A no shows up again and again, no matter how hard you push. This can feel frustrating, even unfair, but a lot of the time, these blocks are protection or redirection. Not every closed door is punishment. Sometimes it is a message that says, not this way. Sometimes it is saying, not now. Sometimes it is saying, this is not for you. The pain is real, but the message can still be real too. The important part is this: it doesn't matter if the sign is big or small. What matters is the pattern behind it. The universe is not usually trying to impress you. It is trying to guide you, and guidance often looks ordinary at first. It can look like a repeated feeling, a repeated situation, a repeated lesson. That's why it's easy to miss, because it's not always loud. But when you start noticing, you realize it has been happening for a long time. This is also why two people can live through the same kind of event and have totally different results. One person sees it as random bad luck. The other person sees it as a message and asks, "What is this trying to show me?" That question changes everything, not because it makes life perfect, but because it makes life clearer. It turns confusion into learning. It turns pain into growth. It turns repeated struggle into a turning point. So if you've been seeing repeating numbers, repeating themes, repeating emotions, repeating delays, or repeating problems, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It can mean you're being guided. The universe often repeats itself when it's trying to help you wake up to something you've been avoiding, something you've been ignoring, or something you've been ready for but afraid to choose. So here's the question that matters. If the universe is trying to tell you something, why does it feel so hard to understand? Why does it feel confusing? Why does it feel like you're guessing? Why does it feel like other people get it, but you don't? The answer is not that the universe is silent. The answer is that the mind is loud. Most people don't miss the message because it isn't there. They miss it because there is too much noise inside. Worry, fear, overthinking, rushing, trying to control everything, trying to force life to go a certain way. When your mind is busy, it can't pick up the quieter signals. It's like trying to hear a soft voice in a crowded room. There's another reason too. Most people want the universe to speak in a very specific way. They want a clear sign that removes all doubt. They want a message that feels like a direct order. Do this, don't do that, go here, not there. But the universe often doesn't work like that. It guides instead of commands. It nudges instead of pushes. It gives you a direction, not a full map. Because part of the lesson is learning trust, not just getting answers. And when people don't get a perfect, obvious sign, they dismiss the smaller ones. They tell themselves, that was nothing, that didn't mean anything. Then the pattern repeats because the lesson hasn't landed yet. The universe will often keep showing the same theme until you face it. Not out of anger, but out of love, because growth needs repetition, and because guidance is useless if it's ignored. This is why life can feel like it's pushing you. You might feel stuck, then pushed into change. You might feel comfortable, then suddenly something shakes the comfort. It's not always easy, but it often has meaning. And the meaning becomes much easier to understand when you stop treating your life like random events and start treating it like a conversation. A conversation that uses feelings, timing, patterns, and change to speak. The goal is not to turn every little thing into a sign. The goal is to notice what keeps returning, what keeps pulling at your attention, what keeps asking you for a response, because that's where the message lives. If you keep asking, why is this happening, you may stay stuck. But if you shift to, what is this trying to teach me, you start moving. And here's the most helpful part. The universe doesn't require you to be perfect at this. You don't have to decode every symbol. You don't have to get every message right. You just need a clearer way to listen. And the clearest way to listen is to remove what blocks your hearing in the first place. That's where most people get stuck. They're searching for signs, but they're doing it with stress. They're asking for guidance, but they're doing it with panic. They're trying to understand the universe, but they're doing it while fighting themselves. When that happens, even a clear sign can feel confusing because fear twists the meaning. So instead of trying harder, the real shift is to simplify, to calm down the inner noise, to stop demanding perfect proof, to stop rushing the answer, to stop forcing life to match the plan in your head. When you do that, the message becomes easier to feel, not always instantly, but steadily. Now it's time to talk about what blocks the message the most. Because once those blocks are clear, what the universe is trying to tell you becomes much easier to see. The first mistake is looking for one huge sign instead of noticing small, steady signs. Many people believe the universe will send something dramatic, a loud moment, a perfect event, something that leaves no doubt. But most guidance doesn't arrive like that. Most guidance arrives through repetition, a soft feeling that keeps returning, a theme that keeps showing up, a situation that keeps repeating until you respond differently. When you ignore small signs because they don't feel big enough, you train yourself to overlook the exact language the universe uses most often. Small signs are not less real. They are often the beginning of the message, like a gentle knock before a louder one. If you learn to respect the gentle knock, you don't always need the loud one. A quiet message is still a message. The second mistake is asking for guidance, then ignoring the answer because it feels uncomfortable. This one is very common, and it can be hard to admit. A lot of people want a sign that says, "Keep going, everything is fine," even when deep down they know something needs to change. The universe often points you toward growth, and growth is not always comfortable. It might ask you to let go of what you're used to. It might ask you to say no. It might ask you to step away from people or habits that drain you. It might ask you to rest when you want to keep running. Sometimes the universe's message feels like a mirror. It shows you the truth you've been avoiding. That can sting. So the mind looks for a different message. It says, maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe it's not a sign, or maybe I should wait. Waiting can be wise, but sometimes waiting is just fear in a nicer outfit, and the sign keeps coming back, because the lesson is still there. If you keep getting the same message and you keep avoiding it, the universe doesn't stop. It repeats. It gets clearer. Sometimes it gets louder, not because it wants to punish you, but because it wants you to stop hurting yourself by staying in the wrong place. Comfort is not always safety. Familiar is not always right. A lot of pain comes from staying loyal to what no longer fits. The third mistake is thinking the universe must prove itself before you take action. This creates a loop that keeps you stuck. It sounds like, if I get one more sign, then I'll change. Or, if I get a perfect answer, then I'll start. Or, if I get a guarantee, then I'll trust. But the truth is, trust grows through movement. Clarity often comes after the first step, not before it. The universe often gives you a nudge, not a full promise. It gives you a direction, not a full plan. If you refuse to move until you have full proof, you may never move, and then you feel stuck. And then you ask for more signs, and then you miss them because you're stuck in fear. That's the loop. The way out is simple, but not always easy. Respond to what you already know, not with huge, risky moves, just with one small, honest step. If the sign is telling you to slow down a little today. If it's telling you to let go, release one small thing you've been holding too tightly. If it's telling you to speak up, say one honest sentence you've been avoiding. If it's telling you to rest, give yourself real rest without guilt. When you respond, even in a small way, the next message becomes clearer. These three mistakes, waiting for a huge sign, ignoring the uncomfortable answer, and demanding proof before action, create most of the confusion people feel. They make guidance feel hidden when really it's being blocked. And once you stop doing these things, life starts to feel like a clearer conversation. Not perfect, not always easy, but clearer. You start to feel the difference between fear and truth. You start to notice patterns faster. You start to trust your inner signals more. And you start to realize the universe has been speaking to you the whole time. The next step is understanding what the universe is actually saying underneath all the signs, because most messages come down to a few simple themes that show up again and again. Here's the part that brings everything together. Most of the time, the universe is not trying to confuse you. It is not trying to test you for no reason. It is not trying to play games with your life. The message is usually simple. The problem is that the message is not always delivered in simple ways. It comes through patterns, feelings, delays, endings, and moments that grab your attention. But when you step back and look at the pattern, the meaning behind it is often one of a few clear messages. A lot of the time, the universe is saying, slow down. Not because you are lazy, not because you don't deserve progress, but because you are moving too fast to hear your own truth. When you rush, you start living from panic instead of peace. You make choices from fear instead of clarity. You say yes when you mean no because you don't want to disappoint people. You stay busy because being quiet feels scary. But the universe doesn't need you to be busy. It needs you to be present. When life keeps forcing you to stop through tiredness, delays, or things not working out the way you planned, it may not be bad luck. It may be a message, slow down so you can see what you're missing. Other times the message is, let go. This one can be hard because letting go feels like losing. It feels like failure. It feels like giving up. But letting go is often the only way to make space for what is meant for you. If you are holding on to something that keeps hurting you, draining you, or shrinking you, the universe will keep showing you signs until you face it. You might feel the same pain in different ways. You might feel stuck, heavy, or tired no matter what you do. You might feel like you are fighting life. That can be a sign that you are holding too tightly. Letting go doesn't always mean walking away instantly. Sometimes it means releasing control, releasing the need to force things, releasing the need to be understood by everyone, releasing the idea that you have to stay the same person forever. Sometimes the message is, choose differently. This often shows up when you keep repeating the same story, even when you swear you want change. You might keep making the same kind of choice because it feels familiar. You might keep picking what feels safe, even if it makes you unhappy. You might keep returning to the same kind of situation because it matches what you expect, not what you truly want. When the universe says, choose differently, it often does it through patterns. You see the same issue again. You meet the same kind of person again. You feel the same kind of stress again. It's not because you are being punished. It's because the lesson is still open, and the lesson closes when you respond in a new way, not a perfect way, not a dramatic way, just a new way. And very often the message is, trust yourself. This one can sound simple, but it's one of the hardest things to live. Because trusting yourself means you stop looking for permission. It means you stop waiting for everyone to agree. It means you stop needing the world to prove your inner knowing is real. The universe often speaks through that quiet feeling inside you that says, this is right, or this is wrong, even when you can't explain it yet. Many people ignore that feeling because they want to be logical, but life is not only logic. It's also timing, it's also energy, it's also inner truth. When you keep ignoring your inner knowing, you don't just feel confused, you feel disconnected. And that disconnection becomes pain over time. The important thing is this: the message matches what keeps repeating in your life. If you keep feeling rushed, burned out, or pressured, the message may be slow down. If you keep feeling heavy, stuck, or drained, the message may be let go. If you keep repeating the same problem in a new outfit, the message may be choose differently. If you keep asking everyone what to do and still feel unsure, the message may be trust yourself. The universe is not trying to give you random signs. It's trying to bring you back to alignment, back to the path that feels true, even if it's not easy at first. And when you finally hear the message, something changes inside you. Not always on the outside right away, but inside. You start to feel less lost. You start to feel like life has meaning again. You start to see your experiences as guidance instead of chaos. And that shift alone can change what happens next, because you stop reacting the same way. You start responding with more clarity. You stop living like life is happening to you, and you start living like life is working with you. Now, knowing the common messages is powerful, but the next step is learning how to read your own signs in a clear way so you're not guessing. You need a simple system, something you can use in real life, on real days, when real things happen. If you want to understand what the universe is telling you, you need a method that is clear and simple, not something that makes you feel like you need special powers, not something that makes you feel like you have to decode everything like a secret puzzle. The truth is, the universe does not require you to be perfect. It requires you to be honest and aware. And the easiest way to do that is to follow a few steps that keep you grounded. The first step is notice what repeats, not just numbers, not just symbols. The real message is usually in repeating themes, repeating feelings, repeating situations, repeating types of conflict, repeating points where you feel stuck. If you keep noticing the same kind of problem showing up in different places, that's a theme. If you keep feeling the same emotion no matter what's happening, that's a theme. If you keep getting pushed to face the same choice, that's a theme. Repetition is one of the clearest signs because it's hard to ignore. Life is showing you the same lesson from different angles, hoping you finally see it. But noticing repetition isn't enough. The second step is ask one clean question. A clean question is simple. It does not come from fear. It does not come from panic. It does not come from begging. It comes from calm curiosity. The question is, what is this trying to teach me? Not, why is this happening to me? Because that question often keeps you trapped in the feeling of being a victim. What is this trying to teach me moves you into learning. And when you move into learning, you move into growth. When you ask this question, you might notice that the answer is already inside you. It might not come like a loud voice. It may come as a simple knowing, a simple sentence, a simple truth like, I need stronger boundaries, or I keep ignoring my needs, or I'm afraid to be alone, or I don't trust myself, or I keep choosing comfort over truth. These answers can feel uncomfortable, but they also feel real. And that's how you know you're close to the message. The message may not always feel good, but it will feel honest. Then comes the third step. Pick one small action that matches the lesson. This part is very important because many people stop at awareness. They say, I see the pattern, and then they do nothing. But the universe doesn't only want you to notice, it wants you to respond. And response doesn't mean a big, risky move. It means one small step that proves you heard the message. If the lesson is slow down, the action might be stop rushing one decision today, take one quiet break, say no to one thing that drains you. If the lesson is let go, the action might be release one habit that keeps you stuck. Stop checking for someone's approval. Remove yourself from one situation that feels heavy. If the lesson is choose differently, the action might be make one new choice in a place where you usually repeat the old one. If the lesson is trust yourself, the action might be follow your gut in one small way today, even if no one claps for it. Here's the key rule that makes this method work. Don't chase signs. Calm down and let clarity come. When people chase signs, they get desperate. They turn everything into a sign. They start searching for proof because they feel scared. But clarity comes best when you are calm. When you calm your mind, you can feel what's real. When you calm your mind, your body signals become clearer. When you calm your mind, you stop mixing fear with intuition. And that is when the universe's message becomes easier to understand. Another key rule is, look for direction, not a guarantee. Many people want the universe to promise them the outcome, but guidance is often about direction. It's about the next step. If you keep asking for a guarantee, you may miss the guidance that is already there. The universe often says, go this way, without saying, here's exactly what will happen in 10 years. And that's okay. That's how trust grows. You take one step, and the next step becomes clearer. You take another step, and life opens more. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. So if you want a simple way to remember this method, it's this. Notice what repeats. Ask what it's teaching. Take one small, honest step. That's it. You don't need to make it complicated. You need to make it consistent, because the more you practice this, the more you start seeing your life differently. You stop feeling like life is random. You start feeling like life is guiding you. And once you feel guided, you stop feeling alone in your own story. Now, even with a method, you still need something that makes this real in daily life, a practice that helps you hear the message in the moment, not only after everything happens. That's what comes next, a simple daily practice that turns this from an idea into a real habit. To really understand what the universe is trying to tell you, you need a daily practice that keeps you connected. Not something long and complicated. Not something you only do when you're in crisis. Something simple that fits into real life. Because guidance is not only for the big moments, it's also for the small moments that shape your life every day. Start in the morning with just 2 minutes of quiet. 2 minutes. That's all. Before you rush into your phone, before you rush into your plans, give yourself a short pause. In that pause, take a few slow breaths. Let your shoulders drop. Let your face relax. And set one simple intention. Show me what I need to see today. Not give me everything right now. Not prove it to me. Just show me what I need to see. This intention matters because it tells your mind to pay attention. It turns your day into a listening day, not just a surviving day. Then during the day, use a small habit that keeps you aware. Here it is. When something hits your attention in a strong way, when you feel a sudden pull, a sudden discomfort, a sudden pause, stop for a few seconds. You don't need to freeze your whole life. Just pause inside and label it gently. This might be a message. That simple label helps you step out of autopilot. It helps you shift from reacting to noticing. It helps you become the kind of person who catches patterns early instead of only seeing them after the damage is done. When you label it, ask a quick version of the clean question, what is this showing me? You don't need a full answer right away. Sometimes the answer comes later. Sometimes the answer comes in layers. But asking the question keeps you open. It keeps you learning, and learning keeps you moving. Finally, at night, take 1 minute to write 3 quick notes. Keep it simple. You are not writing a long journal, just short and honest. The 3 notes are, what repeated today? What did I feel? What will I change tomorrow? That's it. It can be 1 sentence each. The goal is not perfect writing. The goal is pattern tracking, because when you track patterns, you start seeing the message faster. You start noticing that your stress has a theme, your conflict has a theme, your delays have a theme, your strong feelings have a theme, and once you see the theme, you can respond with a clearer step. This practice also protects you from one of the biggest traps, forgetting. Many people have a moment of clarity, and then life gets busy and they forget. Then the same lesson comes back, and they feel confused again. But when you do a small morning intention, a small daytime pause, and a small nighttime note, you keep yourself connected. You build a habit of listening, and the universe does not need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. With time, you'll notice something powerful. The signs feel less confusing, not because life becomes easy, but because you become clearer. You stop making every moment a crisis. You stop chasing proof. You stop ignoring your inner signals. You start responding earlier. You start learning faster. And when you learn faster, you suffer less from repeating the same lesson again and again. And there's another change that happens quietly. You begin to trust the connection itself. You trust that life is not random. You trust that even hard moments can guide you. You trust that you are not alone in your path, and that trust makes your next steps feel lighter, even when they are still challenging. Now, once you start practicing daily, you'll also face a few common obstacles. Things that try to pull you back into old habits like doubt, noise, and fear. And when those obstacles show up, you'll need a simple way to handle them without losing your progress. That's what we'll get into next. Here's the simplest truth. The universe is not trying to make you feel confused. It is trying to make you more awake. It is trying to bring you back to what is real, back to what matters, back to the path that fits you. The signs are not there to impress you. They are there to guide you, and you don't need to be perfect or special to receive guidance. You just need to be willing to listen and then respond. A lot of people think they need to do everything right before they deserve clarity, but clarity is not a prize for being flawless. Clarity is something you build through honesty. You notice what repeats. You ask what it is teaching. You take one small step that matches the lesson. And when you do that, life starts to feel less like a storm and more like a direction. You stop feeling like you're guessing all the time. You stop feeling like you need to force every answer. You start feeling something steadier, trust. If you've been waiting for a perfect sign, let this be it. The universe often speaks in patterns, not in fireworks. It speaks through the things you can't ignore, the feelings that keep returning, the same lesson showing up in new forms, the same wall you keep hitting until you decide to choose differently. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means the message is still open. And the moment you respond, the message starts to change because you start to change. So make this personal right now. Think about what you noticed earlier, the pattern, the feeling, the loop that keeps coming back. Don't push it away. Don't blame yourself. Just be honest. If that pattern could speak, what would it say? Would it say slow down? Would it say let go? Would it say choose differently? Would it say trust yourself? There doesn't have to be a perfect answer. There only has to be a true one. Now choose one small action that matches that message, not a huge dramatic move, just one step. If you need to slow down one thing today. If you need to let go, release one thing you've been holding too tightly. If you need to choose differently, make one new choice where you normally repeat the old one. If you need to trust yourself, follow your inner knowing in one small way and stop asking for permission. And if doubt shows up, because it will sometimes, don't fight it. Just notice it. Doubt is often old fear trying to keep you safe, but safety is not the same as growth. You can thank the doubt for trying to protect you and still keep moving. You are allowed to be afraid and still take a small step. You are allowed to be unsure and still listen. The universe does not require you to feel fearless. It only asks you to be willing. If you want to make this real, do one thing. Speak your commitment in a simple way. Write down the one pattern you keep seeing and the one message you believe it carries. Then write down the one small step you will take next. When you put it into words, you stop letting the message float around in your head. You bring it into life. You turn guidance into action, and action is where change begins. There's a deeper reason this matters. When you learn to listen, you start building a relationship with your own life. You stop treating your days like random events. You stop living in constant reaction. You start living with more meaning. And even when challenges come, they don't break you the same way, because you start asking a better question. Not why me, but what is this showing me? That one shift can change your whole path. The universe is always trying to tell you something, and the message is usually closer than you think. It's in what repeats. It's in what pulls at your attention. It's in what makes you feel heavy and what makes you feel open. It's in the moments that slow you down, the moments that push you forward, and the moments that make you face yourself. The signs are not meant to confuse you. They are meant to guide you back to your truth. Listen for the pattern. Ask what it's teaching. Take one honest step and keep it simple, because the more you practice, the clearer it gets, and the clearer it gets, the more you realize you were never abandoned, never ignored, never alone. You were being guided this whole time.